Hey guys, Nathan here, and this is a brand new BMW X5 xDrive45e, and it just came in. So this just in. But the thing you should know is that as awesome as it is, the Europeans have a more awesome one. All right, now what may look like a regular BMW i6, which is already pretty damn cool, is actually a lot more than that, because sandwiched in there is also an electric motor. That means that this 3-liter twin-power i6, which is connected to an 8-speed automatic transmission, has a total output of 389 horsepower and 411 pound-feet of torque. That means, according to the EPA, 50 mpge. That's the equivalent. That's not too bad. It also can run up to 30 miles on electricity alone. That's pretty cool too. But there's more, because its top speed of 146 miles per hour is impressive. But if you just have it in EV mode, top speed is 84 miles per hour. So you can run down the highway in all electric mode up to 84 miles per hour. It also has a 24 kilowatt hour battery in there, which is huge for a PHEV. That's really impressive. But here's where things get a little weird. The basic battery only gives you about 71% of its power. If this were the European version of the vehicle, you would get a lot more. In other words, you'd be able to get more power out of it for distance, meaning that you would go further on an electric charge. I don't know exactly why they're only giving you 71% of that power. To the people who designed this vehicle, that they decided not to go with the giant nostrils, I think it ruins BMWs. Honestly, sorry. I can't even take that back, because a lot of you guys agree with me. I think that this is actually a fairly decent looking front end. And it has the laser beam headlights. But what's great about the X5 is that it still has the basic formula for a sporty looking crossover. That's exactly what this is. The lines altogether are quite nice, but what really impresses me, I mean, have a look at these wheels. I really, really like them. Now, bear in mind that these are part, I believe, of the M package, which this vehicle has. It also has the executive package, and we'll talk about that at the very end when we come to its ridiculous pricing. But just look at these things, and they are surrounded by P-Zeros from Pirelli. Oh my God. And of course, you have the ridiculous brake caliper. I think caliper. The ridiculous brake caliper as well. So a lot of M stuff on the vehicle to make it look more sporty, which kind of makes people forget about the fact that it's a PHEV that gets really good mileage. The overall design, once again, very similar to the original BMW X5. Still, one, in my mind, one of the better looking crossovers out there. And I do like the new character line kink that comes up. This is all old school here, and then in the back. And crazy, this thing not only can tow well over 5,000 pounds, depending on how you set up this vehicle, it supposedly can go up to 7,000 pounds. I know, right? But also, there are exhaust pipes in there. Why is it extraordinary? Because if you look at Audi, and if you look at Mercedes, and if you look at Volkswagen, you're not going to find that in very many of their vehicles, especially on the lower ones. You know, the performance ones are different. So I'm really happy about that. But let me tell you about what's inside. There it goes. And then why? Because they can. It's completely unnecessary to have this automated. But what that gives you is entrance into the cargo area, which is actually very nice. Even though you have this major cut back here, you're getting a decent amount of cargo space, up to 60 cubic feet back here. You put those seats down, grand total turns into 174 cubic feet of cargo space. And by the way, folding these seats is very easy. See these levers right here? Boom, down. And then here's another one right here. Pull that, boom, down. And yeah, if I pulled the seats forward, they can fold relatively flat. If you push this, the labor that's saved from doing that, and of course, closing. Now, some people don't like the idea of having a little tailgate there. I really do. One of the things that it actually can help with, if you're a DIY person and occasionally use your BMW for that instead of, hiring servants, is that you could put longer lumber in there because it sticks out a little bit and actually gives you more space. I like that personally. Man, this thing is kind of demanding. It doesn't even let you get in very easily. That's okay. It's all about security, right? So let's talk about the interior. And while we're doing that, I'm going to turn on the power so we don't swelter. It's very hot outside. Now, there are a couple things to keep in mind. This setup is a little higher end than the base model. This does have the executive package and it has the M package. So what that's going to give you is a really nice looking interior, but there is an exception, and I really need to bring it up because Case, who's behind the camera, kind of freaked out when he saw it. This. Now, I don't mind it too much because it's not fake or even real carbon fiber, but it kind of has that look to it, and I don't understand why it can't be a nice piece of aluminum or some nickel steel or even wood. And especially here, it's almost overwhelming the amount of stuff they have here. This, there you go, opens, and there are cup holders in here, and there are other components as well, charging. Yeah, that's great. And then, of course, your gear lever, which is much better than their old flappy. I like this. The crystal is something you can get as an option or part of a package. And, of course, you have these massive screens. Now, this is interesting. It's telling us that the hood's open, and Case and I swore that we shut it, so I'm going to have to take care of that. But you are able to go through this vehicle, use the big screen, and blah, 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 blah. It's really, really beautiful in here. Very comfortable. The seats are firm and extremely customizable, which is great. What about the back seats? All right, back seat space. Now, bear in mind, if you have really big feet, you got to tuck them in underneath this seat. Now, I'm 6'1", so I'm sitting behind myself. I have okay room, but if you have really big feet, it's going to be a little bit difficult to get them underneath the seat next to you. Let's put this up here because it's sweltering outside. Oop. There we go. I'm actually really surprised that BMW doesn't charge extra for this shade because they charge extra for everything else. Okay, back seat comfort is pretty damn decent, especially for those people who want ventilation. That's because there's a vent here on the pillar and another vent right here, and I really like that. That's really nice to have. You may be wondering about this. We figured that this is where a screen would plug in, and also you have a port here for charging. So this whole thing makes sense. And then, of course, here we go. Ba-bam! Not like you use storage, but there are your cup holders. All in all, very comfortable back seat. A lot of people are going to be buying these to hold kids in the back. Plenty of room for 3 kids back here. To drive a comfortable BMW, one with an adjustable suspension, and one that, because it's the E model, does not have a 4x4 package per se, although it does have the ability to do light off-roading. This is not exactly a vehicle that I would take off-roading. Now, there are a couple things you should know about it just in terms of driving. Once again, this is from the driver's seat. The heads-up display works really well. Works better when you're not wearing polarized glasses, which is typical for most HUDs. And another thing about this BMW that I really like, aside from the fact that it has this massive screen, is the fact that actually from where you sit and how you drive, this vehicle, not only is it comfortable and extremely sporty for, such a heavy vehicle. This thing weighs almost 3 tons with humans in it. The sight lines are really good. It's something that is kind of unusual in SUVs, because usually like the rear pillar is just too big. It's not so bad in this. I really do like it, and I like the seating position itself. So if you like a commanding view, but in a vehicle that's not ridiculously tall, that's something to keep in mind. Once again, this is a BMW. As such, the ride is always a little bit on the firm side. Now, recently I drove a Porsche Taycan, and that vehicle had an absolutely magic carpet style ride. So then jumping into this vehicle, a little bit different, but there is a party trick. Now I am in regular mode. Cameraman, hold on. There's a little lag, but then it goes. And man, when it goes like a scalded cat, super fast. What's interesting is that recently I was in a Volvo XC60 plug-in hybrid, and around the same price as this one. And that thing actually felt a little bit quicker, but this one feels much better around corners, and it feels much more sure-footed just in general. Typical to BMW. I just wish they would allow us to have more capacity with that 24 kilowatt hour battery. I just don't understand why we can't have that when the Europeans can. I know, I'm whining about it, but otherwise this thing is phenomenal. To summarize, an extraordinary piece of technology that has a sporting spirit. It is a BMW, it drives beautifully, it is overpriced, and the Europeans got a better version. Ours has the M Sport package. It's wheels, brakes, nice, right? And sills and all that other stuff. But it also has the executive package. And considering the performance you get out of this vehicle, it is impressive. It's also extremely expensive, and it's a bummer that the Europeans get a better one. Once again, thanks for joining me for the Fast Lane Car. This is Nathan. I'll see you next time.